That in mind, yeah. Whew.
Apparently, we are now streaming live on YouTube.
It's almost done.
Almost done.
That in mind, yeah.
Okay,
Whew.
now we're live.
Okay. So we have enough to start. Everybody ready to start? So I would like, yes?
One.
We have a-
Well, I mean, we can go into executive committee if you want to go ahead and start an
Yeah,
executive committee, but we don't technically have a quorum at the moment.
well, we're not
But we
going
do
to have
have
a quorum,
5 for an executive committee.
but
Brooks Powell said he was gonna come, but he may have to log off about 12:30, but he was going
Okay.
to come. But
he was.
Miss Bailey just got here. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Well, no, I just know that for those of you who are actually working, that this was probably your third Zoom meeting of the day, or you have 3 others after this. So trying to make sure y'all get a little break, as it were. So I see Miss Bailey's there.
Good morning, Miss Bailey. So that makes 6.
So let's get started, because I do know that you'll need breaks from some of this. So I'm going to ask, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask Rhonda to call the roll, please.
All right. Miss Bailey,
Here.
Dr. Cable, Miss Coleman,
Present.
Mr. Cox, Dr. Davis, Miss Rye,
Here.
Dr. Henderson, Miss Lawson,
Here.
Miss Talbert,
Present.
Miss Merricks,
Here.
Mr. Powell.
Here.
Thank you. So you have 7, which does constitute a quorum.
Okay, that's great. Thank you all very much. And so the next we have is a certification of a virtual meeting. I don't think there's anything we have to do with that. Is that correct?
Yes. All right, let me.
Okay, and are we going to, okay, tell me what I should be seeing. And then we go to approval of the minutes. No, introductions and announcements. Okay, there we go. Any introductions, any announcements?
No, ma'am.
Yeah,
Okay.
wait, I'm sorry.
Did you have one, Rhonda?
Yeah, I just wanted to
Okay.
let y'all know that every 2 years we have to ask for reappointments to the LOSFA Advisory Board. So we will be sending out to your respective boards requests for either reappointments or appointments. So I just want to let y'all know that will be done next week.
Rhonda, a question on that. Are there term limits?
No, right, Robin? I thought there were, but Robin has said no, right?
No, there are not.
There are no
Okay.
term limits.
All right, thank you. But good to know. Appreciate that. Any other announcements or introductions? And my question was going to be if I was supposed to be seeing the packet that was prepared, and I am seeing that now. So now we move on to the minutes from September 17th, 2020. I hope you've all had a chance to look them over. I always appreciate those who take the time to do it. And let me get to this. And I would also like to thank, this was just, sometimes I just have little picky things, but I really do appreciate for the future and the good of the world that we're now calling the chair solely, just not chairman or chairperson. We just need to get used to chair. So I appreciate who had make that change being made. So with that, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
A motion to approve the minutes. Mary.
I motion to approve.
Thank you. And don't forget, you need to say who you are. So Rhonda, so we can know who approved them.
I think Miss Bailey made the motion. Miss Merrick, you want a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, the minutes have been motion to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The minutes have thank you. The minutes have been approved. Now we go into public comment. Any public comment to date?
I don't believe so. Andrew, ever received any public comment?
I received nothing.
All right. Past that, then the next item are the program updates. And I guess we'll move through what's on our screen, the PowerPoint presentation. So that brings us to Terry Underwood for the savings program update.
Thank you. Good morning.
Morning.
Here we go. You'll see we've been about the business of START in this new age. Of course, we still are working partially remotely and partly in the office. As you can tell, we're still going about our daily business of START. I had mentioned previously that we had taken on City of New Orleans as a payroll deduction, and we have been getting some of those in, so we're excited about that. Even though I had heard that they were taking some cuts down there due to COVID, furloughs and things of that nature, we are still having some payroll deductions come in for START, so we're excited about that. If you can go to the next slide. For START disbursements from K-12, which was legislated to start in August, and did. This is our September number. We did $194,003 in START disbursements for K-12. So there certainly was an appetite for that, and it is being utilized. The student loan payments, $22,500 for September. We did not have any apprenticeship payments for the month of September. Also, I wanted to let you know that due to COVID, we're gearing up for the end of the year, of course, for deposits for START. And due to COVID restrictions, we decided as a team with Dr. Boutte and communications and PIC that we would not be having set up in person for deposits this year. We'll be doing deposits electronically, as well as mail in, as well as overnight delivery. And the last week of the year, which typically is a busy week, we're going to have a payment box set up in the lobby for check deposits. And we'll be sending out receipts to those folks who they don't want to miss it last minute, and they get it in on that last week. So that's all I have.
No, that's a great idea. I suspect many people would be, to drop it off and to find that they couldn't then and get it in a timely fashion. So thank you all for being so thoughtful to all of that. Thank you. Anybody have any comments or questions for Terry? Okay. Moving on, we would have public information and communications.
Morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Okay, Brittany, Ms. Francis,
Yes.
There we go.
So I wanted to highlight our media mentions this morning. So last month we launched our FAFSA Now pilot campaign to encourage high school seniors to complete their FAFSA by February 1, 2021. And we partnered with the Louisiana Department of Education on this initiative, or this campaign, I should say. And so far we have 40 schools who have agreed to participate in encouraging their seniors to complete the FAFSA by February 1. And here are a few of our mentions. The FAFSA Now pilot campaign was highlighted on WBLA, WGNO, Cameron Pilot, the Red River Parish Journal, and Sinlaw Now. And then the Louisiana School Board Association also shared the news on their Facebook page. So exciting, and we're working hard on this campaign. Next slide, Rhonda. here's our website traffic and our recent presentations. I just wanted to just share this with you all. I don't believe we ever shared this before, how these are our top 10 sites that refer visitors to the LOSFA website. And as you can see, you know, LSU, Google, all of these different domains have a number of visitors who view the site within the past month. And I wanted to note that the TOPS webpage had the most views in September with 7,677 views. So Andrew has been keeping track of all of this information. I thought it was incredible to share the number of views on that TOPS page. And over to the right, our recent presentations. We had 2 recent presentations. Our program administrator, Ebony Holmes, Field Outreach Services, Financial Aid and Career Development Specialist, Brittany Williams, and Ms. Barry Bailey, our LDE's Education Program Consultant, were selected to present at the National College Attainment Network NCAN's 25th Anniversary Conference. And they presented on strengthening and supporting successful FAFSA completion. And I wanted to just share two comments from the viewers. Ms. Anita DeFore, she said that the presentation was a wonderful session. And Amanda Kempsky said, thank you so much for sharing all of your successes. Can't wait to incorporate some of these ideas into my own strategy. And then at the bottom, we have our public information officers, Ms. Rhonda Britovo, Valerie Boston, and Ebony Holmes, our program administrator, who also conducted 3 virtual professional development workshops for schools counselors. It covered LOSFA updates, TOPS, FAFSA, and our special programs at LOSFA. And we had a total of 208 counselors who attended the workshop virtually. Next slide, Rhonda. And for my last slide, I've been talking about our My LOSFA College Advocate, a high schooler's guide to college video series. So we finally have the premiere video, and I wanted to share with you all. This series will be based on a high school grade level checklist with tips on what students need to prepare for college, 9th through 12th grade students. So I'll just cue Andrew so he can play the video. And we've been promoting it on the website, social media, through our newsletters, everywhere, just to get the word out for students to be expecting this content. We can't hear it yet, Andrew.
She's on mute.
Sorry about
that.
School is one of the most important times in your life. Discovering who you are, making new friends, keeping your grades up, adapting to virtual learning, and preparing yourself for life after you graduate. Not to mention, we're all living with the coronavirus pandemic. I know it's a lot, but don't worry. We'll get through this. Welcome to My LOSFA College Advocate,
a high schooler's guide to college. Throughout the year, we will share checklists for each grade level to make planning for college just a little bit easier.
High school can be extremely fun, but it also can be...
You're forgetting something.
Oh. Before we get started, let's introduce to you your advocates.
Hey guys, my name is Isabel, but you can call me Izzy, and I'll be representing the freshman class.
What's up, guys? I'm Darren, and I'll be representing the sophomore class.
Juniors, I'm John, and I'll be leading you through that halfway mark of high school.
What's up, class of 2021? I'm Kayla, and I'll be making sure you're right on track for graduation come this spring. And we're your LOSFA College Advocates.
As I was saying, high school can be extremely fun, but it can be very overwhelming when preparing for college.
Now that you mention it, there's always so much to do in so little time.
Guys, that is what we're here for.
You're right. You're right.
Freshmen, tag along with me as we get through the first year of high school together. I know it's going to seem like a whole new world compared to middle school, but it's always good to hit the ground running to create a strong start and even stronger finish.
Sophomores, you have successfully completed your first year of high school. Keep going strong during this second year. Remember to keep an eye out for me for important tips, advice, and resources to get you guys through this year. Don't tell the others, but you guys are my favorite.
There he goes. Now, my juniors, it's time to make sure you're getting ready for your senior year and life after graduation. Just because you're not seniors yet doesn't mean you can relax. Now, with my help, I'll make sure you guys enter senior year with confidence and are prepared to make good decisions about your futures.
Where are my seniors at? Look, graduation is right around the corner, but there's still a lot to get done. Earning the ACT score that you've been aiming for, to writing college essays, completing the FAFSA, and submitting college applications. Senior year is going to be hectic, but don't worry, I've got your back. We know things are different right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty.
We know it's gonna get hard and things will get stressful.
And we know all of this unpredictability can't be easy.
But we want to make sure that we can assist you in any way possible. So take it day by day. And remember,
Breathe.
Focus,
and let's get through this year together.
So that was the first introductory video. And so we'll be having a series of videos throughout the year that'll focus on the FAFSA, ACT, college applications, and the whole nine. And we also have Instagram pages for each grade level. So each college advocate will have their own Instagram page just to direct all of their that cohort to their social media platforms to just provide any additional resources for them throughout the year. And that's all I have.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? I have one. How do your clients know when this is available?
We launch it on social media, and we have it on our website, but we're mainly promoting it on social media.
And so then each time that a new one comes available, you'll do the same. That's
yes.
You're trying to, okay.
Absolutely. On the LOSFA social media platforms, Louisiana Gear Up, and all of the My LOSFA College Advocate grade level Instagram pages as well.
So this is
and
live
we're also
right now?
sharing it with our, yes, and we also sharing it with the counselors.
Christy, after it got premiered today, so I'll be sending out a link so that y'all can send it out to y'all's students too.
Yes, Rhonda wanted
Thank
to share
you.
it with the advisory board first before we shared it with the counselors.
All right, so that's great. So the counselors get it, and then they can also share it. That's great.
Mhm. Yes.
It'll be interesting, and Andrew someone will be keeping track of how many hits you get, how many views. Yes. So it's great. I think it's very, very innovative, and I appreciate you doing all of this. Any other comments or questions for Brittany?
I have a question. I don't know if this was addressed, but how often will these be coming out for the students?
So we're still trying to decide if it's going to be a monthly thing or if it's going to be 2 videos each month. So far, we're focusing on the topics. So like we already shot 2 episodes in one day to focus on ACT, the FAFSA, and college applications. So far, we're just basing it off of content. And I believe that we're going to have a lot more content. So it may be more than 1 video a month. But so far, we don't have like a direct timeline yet. But I believe it's going to be a lot more content than just once a month.
This is Marianne. I know that this is really great. I am concerned that places where we don't have the broadband access for students, that how do we, I would like people like Senator Beth Mizell and others who work so hard to expand broadband access, and the legislators to know what you all are doing, because I think many times their offices become hotspots. Kids are driving up and they're parking out in front of Senator Mizell's office so that they can log on. And I just want the legislators to know how hard and how valuable a resource LOSFA is. And I don't know how to do that. It's just a thought that popped into my mind. But this is something that, pulling into the hotspot, this is something else that they need to sit there and perhaps take an extra few minutes to look at when they're visiting that office. And I don't know if the legislators could use this to help their constituents, but it's really great, and it's a great tool.
Thank
for
you. We
everyone.
can definitely share it with legislators. I'll think about how we can package that information for them.
Yeah, and I don't know, but you know, this was one of the issues in the regular session, and then the bill got fixed again in the special session, I think. And they're working to get it expanded, and this sometimes it just takes a little more people seeing, well, this is valuable, and it takes that parent whose son or daughter gets the help that he or she needs to do this, and just to be aware of what's going on, that it's not just coming up to use the hotspot. So just give it some thought. I it may not work, but I really think this is very, very great for y'all to do, and I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chair Coleman.
Thank you. Anything else?
Hi, this is Charmaine. I love it. It's very innovative and engaging. And I love how you're going to be talking about FAFSA. I think it would be great also, maybe if you want to touch on like demystifying the financial aid process, that would be so beneficial to all of our incoming students. And then the colleges can plug that as well.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll write that down.
Thank you, Charmaine. Anything else? Anyone else?
Just for the record, I would, when anytime a video goes up, I'll put it on YouTube, but I'll add it to a playlist. And Rhonda, when she disperses the links, it'll be all in that same link for you guys to share to whoever you feel would continue to share it or appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on, if there are no other, thank you, Andrew. The LOSFA Field Outreach Services update, Dr. Cobb.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
So while Rhonda advances the slides, we're going to go over National Gear Up Week, our school board presentation that we did during National Gear Up Week and the services that we provide, our partnership with BRCC, North Shores, and tutoring, our tutoring spotlight, our Compete to Complete dashboard update, advanced placement, and our Connect to Success events in this update. If you can advance the slides, please, Rhonda. Okay, so first up, we actually celebrated Louisiana Gear Up Week, National Gear Up Week, which is a national campaign celebrating gaining early awareness and readiness for undergraduate programs. So the movement of Gear Up across the country, our schools did a wonderful job actually engaging the students, both the virtual students and the students in the schools. We actually had daily themed activities. In locally, Mayor Broome actually got involved on our Advocacy Day. So Advocacy Day was Tuesday. Going back, Monday was Academics Day. We had Wednesday was Behavior and Leadership Day. Thursday was College Preparation and Career Exploration Day. And then Friday was like a Form Your Future Day for students. Particularly with this particular campaign, the Governor John Bell Edwards actually did the proclamation as Gear Up being, a program that was acknowledged, throughout the state for the campaign. And because of this, as you know, it's very important during these times of COVID of making sure that our families are understanding the importance of the programs and that our schools are, constantly moving forward with the engagement of these types of programs. So we were very excited that one of our regional coordinators in the North was actually invited by the school board office to do a presentation in Monroe City. And when she actually did that presentation, her name is Summer Clark, the school board president actually made sure to point out that she had actually visited several schools in her school district during Europe Week, and just made sure to point out the importance of optimizing those services, and just really pleased in terms of how engaged the students were with the event. And as you can see, there are some of the events that was actually conducted with our students who were actually in school during that week. And also just want to point out that our students who were virtual as well actually participated at home. Next, we are excited about our partnership with BRCC. If you can go back, Rhonda, it's on the right side. So the initiative is called Career Waves 2 UConnect. It's a partnership with BRCC, North Shores, and RPCC. And they're looking to our office as a financial aid, or in college and career readiness partner for this. The Perkins 5 grant that they actually have, federally funded grant, is actually strengthening CTE. So we're working very closely with them to make sure that we're leveraging the efforts that we do here at our office with what they're doing with their students. What you see on the right side of the screen in terms of their portal, all those Louisiana, all of those logos from our office, those are actually plugs to our website where information that can be useful to their students, or where they can actually plug into that information. So again, we're very excited about that, particularly with the nursing program and the drafting program is what they're focusing in on. And we actually have sector mentoring. We've talked to you about that before in the past, whereas our office actually is doing mentoring for nursing students who are at Baton Rouge Community College, these North Shores and River parishes, and other universities around the state. And they can actually get mentoring from other practitioners, from other students, and it's like a mentoring or a learning community, whereas they get the help that they need. So all of that is infused with this particular UConnect project. So definitely more to come as we work more closely with these institutions on that. If you can advance the slide, Rhonda. So we wanted to talk a little bit more about our tutoring campaign. So right now we're providing tutoring through our office of about 100 10th and 11th graders. We are doing ELA and math subjects with those students. It is being done virtually and in person. Very important to note that our tutors actually work with the actual teachers. So making sure that what they're tutoring aligns with what is actually taking place in the classroom. So as you see in the picture on the left, that is Miss E. She's one of our tutors. She's actually at Liberty Magnet High School. She's actually teaching, she's in the classroom. So she's teaching geometry, or she's tutoring geometry to students. So on certain dates, she's actually tutoring on ground in the school with the students, but on other days, she's actually teaching or tutoring virtually. That's actually happening as well in the north. And on the right side of the screen, this is a clipping from our Compete to Complete dashboard. As Brittany pointed out earlier, we have about 40 students who, schools who actually are participating in our FAFSA pilot. And we did want to point out on our FAFSA ranking portal, we list the schools out according to their FAFSA completion. And just wanted to point out in this particular clip, we had 3 of our schools who are in the pilot who are ranked in the top 15 districts across the state. So that was very fortunate for us when we actually pulled this data, that the schools who are actually participating in the pilot or doing good with their actual FAFSA completion. Definitely more work to do, but you wanted to actually let them know that they're doing a good job. We sent messages out to those schools, and also wanted to point out that, hey, they are their work is actually paying off. Next slide. Okay, so finally, wanted to highlight our the professional development that we do. We do a lot of different professional development or professional development support in this sense. So AP is so very important, you know, in terms of students getting an early start on college credit. Woodlawn High School is one of our schools we support professional development for. And we're excited about this data. So we provide professional development for their teachers, and the results of that is Woodlawn High School is ranked #3 in EBR with the highest AP scores. Specifically in AP Human Geography, their students who earned a 3 or above went from 10% to 42%. Wow. So that is huge. So we're really excited about that. Their assistant principal, we work very closely with her. And she, you know, she was so excited when she emailed us and let us know that. So just really excited about, you know, the work we're doing with them and the work we're doing in the area of professional development support. Finally, Connect to Success. I know you've heard a lot about our initiatives, Connect to Success. On this first flyer is about aquaponics. So this is actually an actual opportunity that we're providing to students through Southeastern. On the right side of the screen, we want to make sure that when we're telling students, okay, so this is how you earn early college credits when they're actually participating in these programs. One of the most important aspects of that is, you know, what is the value to the student? Okay. As you can see on this flyer is this Southeastern put a dollar amount on it. So if you wanted to say, you know, hey, how much are you saving, or how much is this value worth? It's for over $1,400 that's free to you by actually signing up for these early college credits. So definitely wanted to point that out. We're very pleased with Southeastern and their ability to put that dollar tag on there, because we say dual enrollment, we say early college credits, but what does this mean to our students in terms of value? So definitely was proud of them actually putting that dollar amount on that. And that's all I have.
That's great. Thanks. And I think that's the example of Southeastern really knowing their clients and their students and what they appreciate. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Anybody have any questions or comments for Dr. Cobb? Okay, next we go to scholarship and grants update. Ms. Paul.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Our first slide is the on the Betsy tuition for teachers billing update. We've made all of the payments for this fall semester in the amount of $6,445.46. So those teachers are currently enrolled in STEM-related courses at colleges throughout the state. The next one is the Louisiana Gold Grant, and I do have an updated figure on this Gold Grant slide. Total bill for this fall 2020 semester is now at $11,790,713. So we're approaching the halfway mark of that for the remaining balance for this semester. So you basically can take out another $2 million from the remaining balance for the Louisiana Gold Grant. Any questions about Bessie or the Gold Grant billing? The next slide, Rhonda. John R. Justice update. Our public defenders, we've awarded 11 applications across 5 circuits, and we've given all of the public defender awards out, dispersed a total amount of money of $19,500. On the prosecutor side, we also had 11 applicants. We've done 9 service agreements. We have 1 remaining disbursement to make. We were waiting on the additional tax documents from the last recipient So then when that's done, we'll be at $19,500 also. And we're migrating to a new federal system called Just Grants. So we've been going through some training on that side to make sure that we're up to date and everything we need with the John R. Justice program. Then our Youth Challenge grant update. For the fall, we've had 12 recipients at 8 schools, and that award amount is $23,337.98. And with the Youth Challenge program, these students can attend any college where their major will lead to a 3, 4, or 5-star job. Any questions? If there are no questions, then I think that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, thank you. Excuse me very much. Okay, next is the executive director update.
Yeah, so Robin and Brett and I are going to tag team this. What we did is just kind of collapse everything into one so that you will get updates on the exceptions as you ask about, the TOPS billing amounts, and the TOPS tech information that the commissioner asked us to put together. We thought that the advisory board would like to see those results. So Robin will take the first part.
So as to the question of TOPS trends, and as you saw, if you have read the packet on the exceptions today, there are a lot of students with family members who have medical issues that make them at high risk for COVID-19. So they do not want to attend school in person. And then on top of that, they have problems with online instruction. So attending school that way is not really an option for them. The students also have expressed financial issues related to COVID-19. I don't recall if there are any in this group, but we have a number of students whose parents were either laid off or their income decreased substantially starting in the spring as a result of mitigation measures that were taken. So these students have requested exceptions for this fall. One of the action items for today is approval of final rules regarding the COVID exceptions that were approved in spring session of the legislature. And those exceptions only applied for the 1920 academic year. These students now are requesting for the 2021 academic year. So they would not be covered by this rulemaking. We have put together a fairly broad page that is attached to the end of our exception request form that would allow students to request exceptions based on COVID-19. And at this point, we just, if it keeps increasing as it has been, we might consider bringing before you some rulemaking to add COVID to the objective circumstances for which staff can grant exceptions. So those would not necessarily have to come to this committee and then to the Board of Regents, or to this board and then to the Board of Regents for approval.
Any questions? Thank you, Robin. A lot of things, clarified a lot of things there. It was very helpful.
Okay, thank you.
What's
I will do the update on the billings. This information is actually a week old, so I hope I don't confuse things. I'm going to give a couple updated numbers because I think they're important. You'll see that the LSU system, according to this report, has an 8.2% increase. Since then, LSU Shreveport has billed. It's now up 8.6%. Southern Baton Rouge here had a instead of being down 91.8%, has only a 3.2% decrease because Southern Baton Rouge has now billed since this report was generated. And also the LCTC system is showing a 12.6% decrease here, but Suella billed over $770,000 this past week. So it's now up about 4% over last year. So in total, TOPS, as of today, has an increase over last year of about 3.4%. Our projections will accommodate an increase of exactly 3.4%. We do not have much room for error here. So the question on everybody's mind, including mine, is do we have enough money for TOPS this year? And the answer is maybe. The current projection is based on a historical assumption of 97% retention from fall to spring. So as long as that retention rate stays consistent, we will have enough money. Okay. There are a couple of primary factors that could cause the retention to increase. There's some indications that there could be some incoming students that weren't in school in the fall. We know there are students who sat out a semester due to the uncertainty of COVID. We don't have a number for those, but I know a couple. Y'all probably know a couple. We know they're out there. And then we're not sure if there's going to be an increased retention of current students. With some of the criteria for keeping TOPS being relaxed a bit, there could be fewer students who lose TOPS. So we're keeping an eye on it. And when will we know? Probably mid to late February 2021, when the schools actually start to send their initial spring billing. We know we're cutting it close, and we know if we don't have enough funding, it's because something outside of the ordinary happened in student behavior. But this year, of course, is well suited for something out of the ordinary to happen. So we see that's. But I did want to update one number in fine print. There it says we've spent 49.1% of TOPS. We've actually spent 50.3% of TOPS as of now, and that compares to 50.3% at this time last year. We spent 99.95% of our allocation. So I can't stress enough, if we have enough money, it's going to be barely enough. If we don't have enough money, we will probably run out in mid-June. It's this is going to be really, really close for with TOPS this year.
Thank you. Any questions for Brett? I would just like to make a note for the record and for the YouTube record. This is not something TOPS running out of money has absolutely nothing to do with how well TOPS is managed. And so many times people say, well, why didn't you know this? And I think it's very important what you just said is this is why the situation is exactly as it is. It has nothing to do with management, LOSFA, whatever. It just has to do with the situation in 2020 and 2021.
And I should say, if we have enough money or if we don't have enough money, we're going to come within 1% of the projection. So I appreciate you saying that. Yeah.
So thank you. Any other questions for Brett? Okay, we move on.
Okay, next slide, Linda. Okay, so we wanted to update you on this. The commissioner asked that we do a deep dive into TOPS Tech. As many of you know, the TOPS 1202 report, the TOPS report that you see the Board of Regents conducts as requested by the legislature. The Board of Regents does not include TOPS Tech data in that report, nor are the LICU schools included in that report. So when we are looking here at TOPS Tech, we did some deep dives and we got some trends for you. So what they ask us to do is go over initial eligibility requirements, continuing eligibility requirements, as well as the application process. And at the end of this particular report, this packet, you will see the full report along with an executive summary and trends that we are seeing, which some are a bit surprising. So I'll go over to the right for just a bit, because this is another high profile issue. You know that there was a press release about the ACT Louisiana score report and the decline in those scores. So we thought it would be interesting for you all to see as a board the differential in that chart that says average ACT scores 2019-20 high school graduates, ACT 2020 class report. You'll see that for sophomores, juniors, and seniors that took the test, that's an 18.7 average. For public school students, again, not private and parochial, that is an 18 average. The important thing to remember about this score report is it does not necessarily report the highest test score the student took. It only reports the most recent score they took in that year. So we thought, hey, what's the difference if we go back and what LOSFA receives for TOPS eligibility? So that is what you're seeing at the bottom of the screen. And you can see there, when you look at the all 2020 graduates, look at that average going to the 20.5. And then we broke it down into, okay, of all of those students, let's look at who was TOPS eligible. Let's look at who was OPH eligible, TOPS Tech eligible, and TOPS ineligible. And this is using the method of the highest test score that is received. So you can see there's some differences in the way those averages are reported. Okay, next slide. Robin's going to cover this on Act 17, and this is one of the things that we talked about with what is covered. It's kind of a recap of the exceptions. The important thing here is that we are having permission to be able to cover not only Hurricane Laura, but as you know, we've had Hurricane Zeta, and you know, we might have Hurricane Ada to be able to deal with. We hope not, but as well as anything with COVID. So I'll let Robin go over these talking points.
Okay, so we had another executive order, I believe it was Proclamation 124, which provided for some TOPS exceptions, waivers for students who were living in Hurricane Laura affected areas. There were 21 of them. It was fairly broad, and it provides a lot of the same waivers for students living in those parishes that were provided for COVID students in the spring. There's initial eligibility waivers for, let's see, there was the ACT extension through December 31st, and that covers all students, regardless of whether they were in the affected parishes, because we are aware that some test sites have closed due to concerns related to COVID-19. So that deadline was extended to December 31st, and it does allow the administering agency to grant exceptions to that December 31st deadline if the student can provide documentation that, first of all, they were scheduled for a test before December 31st or more than one test, and they were unable to schedule another test before December 31st, somewhere near the vicinity of where they are currently living. And the reason, you'll see rulemaking to this effect later in this meeting. The reason that we said somewhere in the vicinity of where they are currently living is obviously because we had Hurricane Laura, we had Delta, and then we had Zeta. And as Dr. Boutte said, possibly Ada. And we are all praying. I hope that that is not going to happen to us. However, so that is a good thing that we will have that authority. And of course, those ACT exceptions after the December 31st deadline would come to this board and then go to the Board of Regents. There were a few other initial eligibility waivers that were provided, including the requirement that students who were displaced out of state be living in Louisiana for the 24 months preceding high school graduation. They only have to have lived here for 12 months prior to that. And then as to continuing eligibility, those students will not have to meet the steady academic progress requirements, or that's the 2.0 at the end of every semester or term. They do not have to enroll full time. They do not have to achieve a 2.5 at the end of this academic year. So it does provide a number of broad exceptions for them. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I appreciate this. This is do you have to continue to change your programming so that the programming recognizes all of this?
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Brown,
I wanted to answer that. I wanted to answer
phenomenal.
that. I bet you do, Alice. Yes. Thank you.
It's so difficult to keep up with. So I appreciate this. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Alice, anything else you'd like to add?
No, thank you.
Okay, do we need, what else do we need? Do we need to, is there something else, or we need motions, or what here? Where are we?
No, just updating.
Okay.
Rhonda? Rhonda, you can go to the next slide.
Is it not coming up?
It came up.
Yes.
Yes.
Robin, you going to do this one?
Yes. So this is the rulemaking that we had discussed earlier with respect to COVID-19. This was presented to the Board of Regents at its August 13th meeting, I believe, for publication of the emergency rule and the notice of intent. And this is just publication of the final rule for that rulemaking.
Any questions or comments before we have a motion? I need a motion to approve this publication of the final rules.
I motion. Brooks.
Thanks, Brooks. A second, please.
This is Charmaine. I second.
Thank you, Charmaine. All those, and so it's been moved and seconded to approve. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, thank you. Okay, then moving on, we've taken care of that. Okay, the new business exceptional circumstances. Robin?
So we have 15 recommendations for approval. As was stated earlier in this meeting, the vast majority of them are COVID related. By my count, there are 6 of them with online issues. There are a couple where either the student's program is not available this fall. I believe that student was an AC program they can't teach that virtually. And then there was a student for spring 2020, and I wanted to explain this particular student. I believe that's number 11. She had intended to enroll at a cosmetology school in March. She was scheduled to be enrolled March 24th. However, she was not able to enroll because that particular accrediting agency told them they could not accept new students at that time. And they were unable to give her the exception that we had put into place, wherein the schools would put a particular code into the system when sending in their grade reports, because the student wasn't actually enrolled yet. That is why that particular exception is coming before the committee. Then we had, I believe, 2 where the family members with whom the student lives have conditions that make them particularly vulnerable to COVID-19. Are there any questions on any of these in particular?
Any questions? I have one that I've not seen before. Number 2, the regional contract program.
Yes, the regional contract program, I believe we started administering that for Board of Regents last year. That is a program wherein students are permitted to enroll in an out-of-state college to obtain degrees in medical fields that we do not offer in Louisiana. This particular student was attending a university for a year. Excuse me. And after that year, her school told her that she automatically became a resident of that particular state, thereby making her ineligible to participate in that program any longer. The student does intend to return to Louisiana after she finishes school and fulfill the requirements of the loan forgiveness aspect of this program by working in a Medicaid facility for a period of 18 months for each year of funding she receives. And she's asking for a deferment on her payment requirement.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Other questions? And Robin, as I appreciated you saying earlier, there may come a time when by rule you can present for approval so that you by rule you won't have to bring as if the COVID were to continue, because what you're doing now expires. Is that correct?
It does not expire, but since we have put specific criteria into place for these students, if it continues much longer, there is really no reason for us to continually bring the same situation over and over and over again to you and to the Board of Regents for approval. So we could put those into the objective circumstances categories that would be heard by the in-house committee, which consists of LOSFA staff, including our audit department, to review in-house based on any criteria that we would put into rule.
Thank you for stating that more clearly than I did.
Yes,
okay. Did anybody have any questions about any of the exceptions? If not, as you can see, there have been no recommendations for denial of any of these, so I would need a motion for these exceptions to be approved.
This is Charmaine. I motion to approve.
Thank you, Charmaine. Is there a second?
This is Amy. I second.
No, thank you, Amy. All right, so it's been moved and seconded for these to be approved as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, anybody opposed? That's the same. All right, so these have been approved. And that brings us to, where are we now here? Next one.
Ms. Coleman, before we go, I'm sorry. The second, was that Amy Merrick's or Amy Cable?
I think you could take either one because I think we did it at the same time.
Okay. Clarification.
Good. Yes, good catch. Okay, next.
So our new rulemaking today is to implement Act 17, which provides for the hurricane exceptions for students affected by Laura that were specifically listed in Act 17. As I had stated, that Act also gives us the authority to add any additional natural disasters to the rulemaking. So this one includes Delta. Delta's parishes were already included within the Laura parishes, but for purposes of the rulemaking, they are separate. Once the major disaster declaration has been made and approved by FEMA, we will be adding Zeta you may note that the recommendation today requests that you recommend to the Board of Regents that the executive director be given that authority to add those without having to bring all of that back. Of course, we will not be providing any more expanded list of waivers for those students affected by Zeta. It would be the same things. The only thing that we would add is the date on which the student would have to have been living in a Zeta affected parish and those parishes. But it would be the same waivers for those students.
Any questions? I know we laughingly said this. Could we expand the recommendation to include, should heaven for Ada to come, if it were Ada would do that?
I believe that the way it is worded, let me check. I think it would allow us to cover Ada, but I'm gonna have to read it.
It just, yeah, I would, except.
Yes, the recommendation it does specifically any post-impact disaster declaration related to Hurricane Zeta. We could add or any other natural disaster during the 2020-2021 academic year.
Probably be wise.
Yes. Yeah, I just think if we could take care of that, then it might, if that's helpful to you, you all are the experts, and I know as a commission we want to be helpful to you.
Well, I think it would be helpful not only to us and not so much to the agency, but to the students, so that they would have some certainty as soon as possible as to whether they fall under one of these exceptions or not, because we're already getting a lot of phone calls. We did update our Q&A yesterday, I believe. And of course, it will be updated with Zeta, but we are getting questions through phone calls and through emails from students about, hey, am I covered by this? Do I have to continue to go to school? I still don't have electricity and it's been, 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Whatever it happens to be. So.
Any discussion on that? Any thoughts from the others? Should we try to be more inclusive? Anybody still there? No, if anybody's still there, I don't know how to word it, Robin and Sue, but I think it would be.
I have a question. Is there a standard to put in something like a when there's like a national disaster or a federally declared disaster, so you don't have to do this every time there is?
Well, I can answer that. The Act 17 gives the board the authority, the Board of Regents, that is, the authority to provide for any natural disaster or other issue occurring during the 2020-2021 academic year. What we used for Laura and Delta for specifying those particular parishes was the major disaster declaration by the federal government. That has not been approved yet for Zeta. And that's what we're waiting on. I'm hoping that will come out within the next week or so. And again, hoping that Ada does not hit us so that we won't have more students affected. So to answer your question, sort of. For this year, we can, but for any future years, no, there would have to be a change in the law again.
It would have to be a year, but you could do it for the year, perhaps, or something like that. Is what you're saying?
Yes, ma'am. All of these cover the entire academic year, so these students will not have to go to school next spring unless they so choose. Which, to a point that Brett had made earlier about retention, we might have a lot of students who choose not to go in these affected parishes because as of right now, we've got 21 parishes where students don't necessarily have to attend school unless they so choose.
Okay.
Oh,
You can also have students who lived, like, let's just for example, lived in Baton Rouge area, but they attended McNeese. But because McNeese was in one of the hurricane affected areas, they're not able to get back over there and attend school. So that's
Yes.
also in the rules.
Thank you for pointing that out, Rhonda.
Yeah, so yes, and that is a major issue.
Yes.
So Robin, as our wordsmithing attorney, what do we do? What's the language, or can we just do a motion?
I think the recommendation currently reads that the LOSFA Advisory Board recommend that the Louisiana Board of Regents adopt the rulemaking and emergency rules and authorize the executive director to publish a notice of intent to make these rules permanent, including any extension of the above described rulemaking to include students who were living in or attending a post-secondary institution in any parishes included in a post-impact disaster declaration related to Hurricane Zeta. I think if we add to the end of that, or other natural disaster occurring within the 2020-2021 academic year, I think that would cover Ada as well.
Okay.
If necessary.
If necessary, right?
Yes.
Did everybody get that? And if so, do you have any questions? Okay, can I have a motion to, do we need a motion to add that, or can?
Do we need a motion to approve as amended?
There we go.
That is correct.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve this recommendation as amended? Thank you.
This
Motion?
is Christy. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Christy. Is there a second?
This is Amy. I second.
And that's Amy with
Merrick's.
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve this rulemaking motion as amended. All those in favor say aye.
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 Some opposed?
Aye.
All right, anybody opposed? All right, so we have approved this as amended. Anything else? Thank you for that. Anything else? Okay, any final closing public comments? People
Andrew,
made?
did we receive any public comments during the meeting? I don't know where.
Comment was via email. The old guru Gus emailed me, and he said how he enjoyed the My LOSFA College Advocate video, and he likes how it went, and we're doing a great job.
Great, thank you for sharing that. No other public comments then? So we move on to the last item, which is adjournment. Is that correct? I need a motion to adjourn.
Amy Merrick's motion to adjourn.
All right, thank you, Amy. A second, please.
Brooks second.
All right, Brooks moved and seconded to adjourn, so we are adjourned. Thank you all very much for your time.